Greetings to my 981 subscribers, and of course you, my future subscriber. Tonight, not a review, but looking back at 2022 and picking my best whiskey for the year. And as you can imagine, it's not an easy task. I have done probably about almost 200 reviews during the course of the year. And in less than 2 years, almost 400 reviews. So quite a lot of whiskey to go through, going from high-end expensive whiskies, drinking cheap whiskies, in between whiskies, and of course not prejudging any whiskey. For me, it's about the nosing and the tasting, and not really about the history of the whiskey. So yeah, it is the end of the year 2022. And of course, with a tradition of most whiskey reviewers is to pick one that was really outstanding for them. So I had a look at my homepage here on my iPad. It's so many whiskies, sometimes it tends to just blur from one whiskey to another whiskey. And of course, most of the time the latest ones will stick out. So I went through the whole list of whiskies, which ones that stood out. And if I go through my list as well, I have one of the ones that was really standing out for me was the Glenfiddich Solera that 15-year-old. I really enjoyed that one. Something that's really personal pick for me, that aligns with all the notes, the sweetness of whiskies that I really enjoy. But of course, for the people that like to know what the things cost at duty-free shops, please have a look. I have so many duty-free shops that I visited this year. And of course, it will give you a good indication. Is it a good idea to wait for a duty-free shopping spree? Well, spoiler alert, most of the time not. But things that really stood out for me during the past year that I enjoyed, of course, was the Glenfiddich. Oh, I do like Glenfiddich. And they had the 19-year-old. I tried both of them, the bourbon cask one, and also the 19-year-old Madeira cask. Both of them are really nice, but that Madeira cask was absolutely fantastic. Glen Scotia, did a lot of Glen Scotia videos. Kilkerran, the 16-year-old, quite an interesting one. And of course, many other whiskies that I did like, but I'm not going to go through the list. The Octomores, I was quite surprised with the Octomores. I did the 6.1 and the 8.1, absolutely fantastic. For somebody that's not really a big peat fan, I did find them exceptional, and of course exceptional in the price as well. So a little bit expensive for me for a no age statement whiskey. So the list goes on and the whiskies go on. Talisker 8, also quite an interesting one. But tonight, of course, it's going to be narrowed to 3 whiskies that I had. And 3 of them that for me was interesting, not that expensive, and that was not really the idea is on picking something that's cheap, but the idea was picking something that I really enjoyed drinking, not just to make a video, end the video, forget about the video, go on to the next one. Something that stuck with you, hang on now, I need to go back to this one, I need to spend a little bit more time on this one, I need a little bit more drinking on this one, and something that when I don't do videos, I will go sit and relax after a hard day's work. What do I pour? What do I drink? What do I always go back to? So I picked 3 of them, and out of those 3, I will pick the one that I think really is absolutely fantastic for me for this year. So I'm going to start off with in no particular order, and of course I did pour myself a wee dram on each of them. So the first one that I'm going to pick for one of the whiskies of the year for 2022 is the Bain's. This is a South African whiskey. It is from the Cape Mountain. It is the single grain, double matured whiskey from South Africa, bottled at 43% ABV. So this one, I think I paid about 11 or 12 euros for this bottle, so very cheap. Here it's going to be a little bit more expensive, maybe 20, 25 euros, maybe a little bit more expensive. Freight cost is quite high, but I just love this one. As you can see by the level dropping, the sweetness is just incredible. It is one of those most inviting whiskies that you are going to find. Loads and loads of vanilla, maybe a little bit of a butterscotch, a little bit of a toffee note. It is the alcohol of 43%. Even have a deep pull after agitation, not much. There's a hint of a youthfulness. I can't remember how old the whiskey is, but I suspect not very old. But one of the whiskies that I just love the nose of it. And of course the taste, sweetness in a glass. I just love it. I love it's not a complex whiskey. It's not pretending to be more than it is. It is just something you pour it, you drink it, and you just enjoy it. So that's also the reason why I keep on going back. I don't have to spend time in a glass, give it oxidization. You pour it, drink it, and happy days. Something that I will tell anybody. Give it a try. I know one of my online subscribers, I told him about it. He bought it. He keeps on telling me how great it is. And he is somebody that also loves his whiskey. So this one, definitely one of the containers for tonight. The second one, and I think this is something that has been talked about quite often. You hear about the Oswa Awards, they were talking about it. So a lot of people are talking about this distillery, and something that I really enjoyed. Now this is my second bottle already, or is it my third? I can't remember. But I'm talking about the Loch Lomond 12-year-old. And I bought myself a wee dram of it. Well, a little bit more than a wee dram. And it is also very sweet on the nose, but completely opposite from the Bains. This one is toffee, big toffee notes, and it changed. Where the first time that I reviewed this one, and with the oxidation happening in the bottle, it keeps on changing. It keeps on giving more big, huge toffee notes, lovely sweetness, and on the taste, of course, just perfect. Just a hint of a smokiness that coming up. I do like this one, and it's something that I never get to put down. Once I start, I just keep on drinking. It is bottled at 46% ABV. It is non-chill filtered, 12 years old. Not much information on the bottle, but trust me, if you want something nice, sweet, with a hint of a smoke, absolutely the one for you. And of course, the last one that I want to add to this list, and then I have to make up my mind. It's not so easy. This was something that was given to me as a gift. And I've passed this whiskey so many times at the duty-free shop. Especially the one in Vienna, they always had some. I also seen this in Istanbul. And I think I've also seen this in Dubai duty-free shop. Always passed it. Because I wasn't sure, and of course I'm talking about the Jura. And this is Jura The Bay, and a single malt Scotch whiskey, matured in American white oak ex-bourbon cask, and it is further matured in Pedro Ximénez cask. and bottled at 44% ABV. And I can tell you, be aware, this is the one. Be aware, if you not into sweet, very sweet whiskey, don't even think about buying this one. If you love Pedro Jimenez sherry, you will love this one. If you pour it in a glass and you bring it to the nose, you smell Pedro Jimenez sherry. It is absolutely fantastic. It's like a sugar overload. I can feel my blood sugar rising by just smelling it. It's that earthy, a little bit of an earthy note. It is that big, dark raisins, figs, dates, everything that's sweet into a pot. Let me just give it a try. A little bit of a oiliness, a thickness. Absolutely fantastic. I just cannot stop recommending it. This one, I think that this was the most expensive one in the selection. I think this one is about 80, 90 euros for a bottle. Quite expensive for a no age statement whiskey. But for what you get, I just cannot stop drinking this one. Just give it one more try. Really fantastic. Now, 3 bottles. They all have the same theme. They all a little bit on the sweet side. I kind of like it, especially now winter time. I think that is the perfect whiskey for me for winter. It warms you up. Of course, it's not always about the ABV. So 43%, 46%, and of course this one is also bottled at 44%. So always a little bit on the low side, but of course I have to also pick one which makes it very difficult. I do like the Loch Lomond 12. I think that is one of the well-made whiskies, and of course it is 12 years old. But for me it's a little bit of a toss-up between the Bains and of course the Jura The Bay. Well, I am a little bit biased. I am from South Africa. But, and I think the only problem for me that I did pick up with the Bains was that a little bit of a youthfulness. It wasn't really that distracting, but I did like all the components to it and the fact that it was quite cheap. And the only problem for them is I'm not sure a lot of people actually know about it. But for me, the whiskey of the year, and I think this is something that I am so grateful to have on my bar, and of course I'm talking about the Jura The Bay, age 12 years old. Now, this is absolutely a fantastic whiskey. 12 years old of sweetness, a little bit of a chocolate cake, a little bit of a raisin cake, a little bit of a Christmas cake, all of those sweet things stuffed in a bottle, and you are left with something that is really, really nice. So, this is my whiskey of the year, the Jura The Bay, 12 years old. What do you think? Which is your selection of the year? So I wish you a fantastic 2023. 2022 was absolutely fantastic for me. I love doing all these videos. And of course, please remember to like and subscribe. And I see you next time. Cheers.